Welcome to Scrollin', episode 125. I'm Ket, and joining me once again, he's back, ladies and gentlemen, Davius Starjumper. How's it going, man?
Going good. Happy to be back.
All right, good to have you back. How was your business trip? Full report, ready to go.
A lot of walking. Walking. You know,
that's the synopsis.
You gotta walk over to the conference every morning. A lot of walking around. Now, my specific, we're gonna get real. This is exciting, riveting stuff here. Everybody really lean in here. I ran one of the booths, so we actually had a booth. So we more just standing than not fully walking. But the people walking around stopped by to talk to us. So standing and walking, exciting stuff.
Well, we're glad to have you back, dude. We're off to a great start. It's just standing and walking.
People, we gotta spread this excitement out. We can't build it all into one segment here. That's not gonna go well.
We're we gotta spread the good stuff out amongst different episodes. Okay, guys, they can't all be bangers. All right, I'm sorry. Doing our best. We are still amidst the Gold Road public test server, weeks 2 and 3. We're in week 3 right now. And really unusually, there's really not anything to discuss.
we kind of had all the stuff the first week and then just kind of crickets since, right?
Yeah. Well, I will say there is a lot going on with spellcrafting. Like they're doing a lot of adjustments with that, but it's like it's not worth even talking about since we don't even know the context or anything, you know, like they nerfed this thing, but we don't know how powerful it was to begin with. So I think we can just wait until we see it to assess all of that. But yeah, they're doing a lot of adjustments to the scribing system, spellcrafting, whatever you call it.
It makes sense. I feel like there's a lot going on there. I feel like that if we could see into their studio, they got to be stressed to the max about releasing this thing and just exposing it to the community.
I bet this is more difficult to balance than the Arcanist class was.
It's got to be. It's got to be crazy hard to balance.
Because this is something that affects all classes. And like we've said before, I really do feel like, at least initially, a lot of the classes were designed to specifically not have access to certain things. And this is going to blow the lid off of that.
Somebody's going to find something, right? Like in that first month, somebody's going to find some weird combo on a specific class. And it's just, it's going to be crazy.
I think Arcanist Shielders are already on people's radar. That's already looking like a pretty strong thing that the scribing system is going to enhance that playstyle to the point where I've talked to some healer main buddies of mine, some really, really good healers that suspect that Arcanists may replace Wardens as being like the strongest support class for Battlegrounds.
And Arcanists, they've really been struggling. Like they've really just been, a tough life for an Arcanist right now. If you can't pick up on my tone of sarcasm.
I've actually kind of been on the Arcanist train lately. I have an Arcanist build I'm going to talk about lately. They're strong. They're good. So yeah, there's really not much to discuss PTS-wise. I don't know, Davis, you weren't here last week. Was there anything that stood out to you that you wanted to kind of bring back up now or anything?
No, not particularly. I feel like this is a little bit of a Debbie Downer take, and I don't mean it this way, but the set releases, usually there's always one or two that I'm at least a little bit excited about. I'm just not, there's none of these that are really just piquing my interest, I would say. It seems like a lot of defensive sets and a lot of, focus on status effects. But I didn't really find that one or two sets that I was like, all right, maybe I'll try this out. I'm curious.
It's almost a good thing though. It's like you can just kind of cruise along with builds that you have.
No changes. That's not bad.
I mean, there'll be plenty of, I bet you'll have your hands full with this scribing stuff.
You know what? Actually, I will echo what you said. It's probably a good thing because the scribing stuff is going to be enough of figuring all that out. If you add in new sets into that, it would get a little crazy.
Yeah, I think it's going to take up a fair amount of your time there. So, no new stuff on the PTS to discuss, but I did log on to the PTS. I thought I could maybe just share some of my first impressions. I took a kind of a quick tour around the zone. I just kind of hopped on my mount, fully leveled mount, and Just did a big lap around kind of the outer edge of the whole zone just to get a sense of the terrain and the different biomes you go through and how big it is and all that stuff. It's really big. First of all, it's really, really like there were multiple times that I was like pulling up the map to see like how far I was to my destination and like not nearly as close as I thought I would be by now. It's like, wow,
okay.
still have a long way to go. It's a really big map. I will say, not to be a downer, it's a lot more basic looking than I was expecting it to be. And I don't even know if I should talk about it on here. I don't want to like paint people's perceptions ahead of time or whatever, but I guess I will just go ahead and share what my opinion was. Like the promotional art that they've been showing with the golden fields, and it's very like strongly gold and yellow looking.
Yeah.
That is not really what the zone looked like to me. Like it's green grass on the ground. Like you look across the landscape, and the predominant color you see is green. And the trees and stuff have like autumn looking leaves and stuff, but I did not see these vast stretches of golden fields like the Altus Plateau in Elden Ring. That's what the promotional art kind of makes it look like. Did not look like, and I went across the whole zone all around. Like maybe there's just some area that looks like that. I don't know. I could have missed it, but it didn't really look like that to me.
That is interesting. I very much expected like a fall autumn color palette, so that is surprising to hear that.
Well, there is a fall autumn color palette, but it's not. I'm just saying specifically like the long like golden fields where like the grass is yellow. You know what I mean?
Like it's all that color palette. It's not as much that color palette as because you're right. Like even the login screen looks like that way to me.
Yeah. No, it's green grass from what I was seeing. Now, I will say, like, the Tilvani Peninsula, I had a similar reaction on PTS when I logged into that. I was like, it just kind of looks like Morrowind. I don't know. But then when I actually, like, when the patch dropped and I was doing the quest and really exploring it more slowly and carefully and stuff, I actually really came around and liked that zone quite a bit. It is distinct from Morrowind in some pretty cool ways.
Yeah.
So I'm open to I could be won over. But first impression, not super impressed, honestly.
And it's one zone this time around, right? Like it's just this one zone.
Yeah, pretty sure. Just one really big zone.
Yeah, but I guess maybe it's the size of what two zones have been.
I mean, yeah, easily. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. It took me quite a while to get around it.
Did you go to the, I think it's the southern part of it where it's like the overgrown wooded area? Did you look around in that area at all?
Yeah, I went through it. It didn't seem like super like dense jungle and stuff. But
okay.
I also visited the main city, Skingrad, and it's again not to be like too much of a downer, but it's just like a very basic medieval looking city, right? Like cobblestones and horses and carriages and that kind of stuff.
Did you ever play the Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, the game Oblivion?
I did play it. It was a long time ago. I really don't remember many details about it. Honestly.
To me, that's probably the coolest part about the Skingrad is that they're actually, anytime they bring in like, I don't know, there's just something cool to me about in Oblivion. You visited this city, you're familiar with it. You know it was one of the towns that you could go to, and so to see that in this game, I think that's probably the potential appeal for me is that playing a game a long time ago that I really enjoyed, and then now seeing that same city, and it's different, different time settings, but still similar look, similar layout. I think that's the part that kind of like a nostalgia piece to me.
Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't even say that I did play Oblivion because like I did, but I was a very different kind of gamer. I was real young for one, and I was just kind of blasting through stuff. I wasn't really like immersing myself in the world like these games intend for you to, so I don't remember a lot of details.
Oblivion was a good one. It was a good one.
Be a good one for them to remake.
That would be a good one for them to remake.
So one of the new features in this patch that we're getting are these skill styles where you basically just make certain skills a different color. So I checked those out. I figured we can just kind of go down this list and I can talk about them a little bit. So for the two-hander, the carve ability and reverse slash, you can both turn those red. Like the streak slash that they leave in the air when you swing them around, that slash right now is like a white kind of looking thing. You can make that red. Sword and board, similar thing for low slash, except it's an orange kind of slash that it leaves through the air. Dual wield whirling blades, same thing. The little tornado wind looking thing, you can make that look orange. For the bow, snipe and poison injection, you can make those both red. I could hardly even see them, like even especially poison injection. I feel like it's not even hardly even noticeable, but you can make them red. One of the coolest ones is for the Destro staff force pulse. You can make it black. It's freaking cool looking. Really, really cool. Wall of elements, you can make it purple. Elemental susceptibility, you can make it purple. Under the Resto staff, healing springs, you can make that purple. Regen, you can make it blue. And blessing of protection, either morph, you can make that blue.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Nothing huge, cool. But I feel like they're doing a good job of making each player even more like individual.
Yeah, I'm not real clear on how you get these things. I think they're going to be easy. I get the impression that they're just going to be things you kind of accidentally loot in the world. I'm like, oh, cool, I can make Vigor blue now, or whatever.
So it is like a farmable thing. It's not like a crown crate thing. It's a farmable thing.
Yeah, they specifically said that there are in-game things that you can earn, and I feel like I read on a forum post somewhere or something that you just loot them from like random mobs and stuff.
Okay.
Maybe I dreamt that.
Me and you are hoping they drop from giants.
Yeah, anything that comes from giants, we'll have them.
Hey, I'm all about
20-fold.
that. Yeah, we'll get them. We'll get them in 2 days.
Let's see here. Soul Magic, the Soul Trap, you can make it purple. Under Fighters Guild, the Dawnbreaker Ultimate, you can make it like this bright purplish pink color. Looks freaking awesome. Camo Hunter, you can make it red. Trap Beast, you can make that orange. Under the Mages Guild, you can turn the Meteor Ultimate orange, so it actually looks like fire instead of ice. Ooh. You can make the Mage Light green. You can make Entropy yellow, which is silly. You can't even see Entropy no matter what color it is. Like, that was a silly one. I tested it out. It's
can't tell. Can't tell at all.
You can't. I mean, you can. Like, I was looking, like, oh, it turned yellow, so I'm like paying attention. You can tell a difference, but if you didn't know, you wouldn't really notice. I don't think it's so subtle. Kingner says the carve and reverse slice ones are dumb too. Yeah, really, all the ones that are like a weapon slashing through the air are not super noticeable. Some of them are cool. The Dawnbreaker one's awesome. The Force Pulse one is really awesome. Wall of Elements, Meteor, some of them are cool. Vigor, you can make Vigor blue. That's one of the really cool ones.
Ooh, that is cool.
Yeah. Warhorn can be orange. The Barrier Ultimate can be blue. And I think something we were not clear on, but I did confirm on the PTS. Yes, other people do see the skill styles. I was seeing other people cast blue Vigors and purple Wall of Elements and all that stuff. So everyone sees, it's not just you that sees it.
From a PvP perspective, I think that's actually kind of cool. I feel like it's going to throw us off a little bit to see it for the first time. Like, I think that was a Vigor, but like it was blue. Like, I think it's going to be kind of neat to I don't know. It's not. I feel like it's not going to be so easy to see animations and kind of see. Okay, I know what's going on here.
Well, think of that combined with we're getting scribing at the same time. So we're going to have to be discerning these skill styles. Is this a skill that already exists, or some new thing, or what?
That's going to be a really neat dynamic, I think.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like 4th of July, man. So many like new visual effects being dropped into the game all at once.
You know what it's going to be like? It's going to be like OG Cyrodiil, man. The fireworks show that place used to be.
I actually hadn't really thought about that. The visual spectacle we're about to be subjected to is going to be something else.
It's going to be glorious.
So there's no skill styles right now for any of the class abilities, no armor skills, no Sigic Order, no Undaunted. So yeah, that's what we got. Any of those that you're wanting to get right away? I'm wanting that Black Force Pulse. That's my main one.
That one is definitely really cool. Honestly, what I look at is I'm going to be, you know me with my matchiness. Like, whatever color theme my character is, like, my goal is to get their abilities to match that design color look. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I feel like this is the initial rollout of this, but they're going to keep doing this probably I mean, down the road, every
for
single
sure.
ability in the game, it's going to be like a die station all over again, I bet.
Well, and the way the UI looks in the game, it looks like there's maybe, it's like an icon that appears next to the ability in the skill menu, and you click it, and it looks like it's a drop-down menu. It looks like there could be other options put in there in the future. Like maybe you can turn Vigor blue or purple or green or red or whatever. You know, in the future, you will have multiple things to choose from. I'm guessing, just based on what the UI looks like.
I definitely see this growing. I think it's going to be, class skills, like that's definitely going to be coming down the road. But that's cool. I like this. I like being able to customize my character a little bit more, a little bit further.
Super cool. Super cool. I think the blue Vigor is going to be a really popular one. Pink Donnie. Pink Donnie is going to be awesome. It's like this bright, loud, awesome looking, like 80s pink. It's really cool.
I can't wait to see that one. And like you said, the Black Force Pulse. I'm interested to see that one as well.
Grizzly says, wow, I hadn't thought of this yet. Before you see a skill and know what's happening and what to expect. Now with scribing, you can almost never know exactly what's about to happen. Yeah, it's a new skill. So you're like, what even is the thing that's being done to me right now?
What was that?
Like,
different
what
color,
action do I need
looking?
to be taking? It's like, yeah, because like for right now, we're so familiar with all the different abilities. Like just from the visual cue, you know, like I need to block, I need to roll dodge. Your brain just does it automatically. But this, it's like I got to see what the effect is on my character before I know what to do. Yeah, it's crazy.
Love it. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought of that either, Grizzly. The reaction, the way you're going to react to things is going to be so much slower because you're not really going to be sure what the thing is. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this scribing system. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. I'm going to try not to get too bogged down in it, but I did log into PTS and play around with this thing quite a bit. I have a pretty firm grasp, I think, on how it works and what it's all about. So I'm going to try to lay it all out here. We got these things called grimoires. There's like a book that your character reads, basically, and they learn this kind of customizable skill. And the grimoire itself, what I thought was interesting, it doesn't really do anything. It kind of defines the form that the spell is going to take. Like it might say, release a blast of magic around you, but it doesn't say anything about like, is it doing damage? Is it healing? None of that. That's the scripts that you apply are going to determine those things. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting.
So that's the grimoires. And then we have scripts, which are basically your customization options. And that's going to define what the effects of this thing actually are. You got your focus script, which is basically the primary function of this thing. Is it going to deal damage? Is it going to heal? Is it going to be a CC ability? It's kind of the primary, what's it going to be? And then we have signature and affix scripts, and those are just secondary and tertiary effects. Maybe you want to have minor expedition and make it apply a dot as well, there's a number of different things. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about grimoires and scripts. And they weren't just willy-nilly with it. It's not just all scripts are available for all grimoires. Seems like they're pretty smart about what kinds of scripts are available for what types of grimoires, So like if you want to put major breach on an ability, not every ability can do that. It seems like specifically AoE abilities, maybe they avoided that. It seems like they have some rules that they're following there where only certain things like major expedition isn't an option for everything. Minor expedition isn't an option for everything. A stun is not an option for everything. So I think, and also I think if it's like a weapon ability, that makes it have different kinds of rules and stuff like that.
Okay, that's interesting.
So what I'm not super clear on is how exactly you unlock the grimoires and the scripts and stuff. From what I read, it has to do with like repeatable quests, and you do these repeatable quests, and I think that unlocks the ability to purchase these things from a vendor for gold, not like a special currency or anything. But then it's just that character that has that. You got to do that for every character. But I don't think it's something like how like with research, it depends on like how many traits you have researched before you can craft a thing or whatever. I don't think it's anything like that. Like if your character wants this certain spell, I think they just have to get that spell and the specific scripts that they want, and they're done.
Okay. So it's like daily quests, like daily repeatable quests where you go and do the daily quests and then you get the potential currency.
They might not even be daily. They might just be turn it into another one over and over and over again. I'm not sure. I'm not
Wow.
sure.
Okay. Interesting.
That will that's how Sijic is. Like with the Sijic order, you can just kind of keep doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not a skill line. You're not leveling up a skill line. You're unlocking these grimoires and scripts, and once you have the whole collection, I guess you can say you're done at that point. But I don't think, other than just being a completionist and wanting to have every option, which for my main character at least, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, it's just you just need to kind of go for the specific stuff you want, and you can stop there if you want.
Well, and the nice part about that, I feel like, is that a lot of these like major ones are, if you've got a character in mind that uses a certain weapon, or like you're going to know kind of which ones that you specifically want for that character. You're not going to have to farm through a whole bunch of these.
I think there is an RNG element. So like if you are gunning for a specific one, it might not be just like you can go right out and get it. I think it's like you turn in this quest and it's like RNG, you might get the thing you want, you might not. So you just got to keep going until you get it.
That hurts. That was a deep cut when you hit me with the RNG.
There's always got to be some RNG. Hey, listen, man, I have some RNG blues right now as well.
You've been in my world. You know now.
It has defeated me. I'm giving up. Torque of the Last Alien King who?
What is that? What does that thing do?
Never heard of it. All right, so let's go through these grimoires here. I'll try to skip through these pretty fast. So I think every weapon has at least one. So under the Destra Staff, we have Elemental Explosion. This one's pretty cool. It's a fully long-ranged AoE attack with a 2-second cast time. It's a really long cast time, but it seems like it has a bunch of really powerful scripts and options that you can apply to it. One of them is a knockback. You can apply a knockback to it. So it basically looks like an invisible dragon knight is leaping into a group and they all go flying, everywhere. And you can launch it from 28 meters away. It's full long range. And it looks pretty cool too. It's a 2-second cast time. So your character's like charging this thing up and then launches it. And it's kind of like a lob. It kind of makes an arch as it gets there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. The Resto Staff has a grimoire called Mender's Bond. It's an ally targeted tether, kind of like the guard ability. It lasts for 12 seconds, and unlike guard, it doesn't just apply to the person you put it on. It applies to that person and anyone touching that beam. So it's like an AoE ability.
Okay.
And there's some really cool options for that too. There's an option, Davius, I think you might like this. You can siphon ultimate from yourself to your allies that are touching that. Pretty cool.
I mean, I want to stop on that one for a second, just because I think that's really cool. Because right now, if you really want to build this type of battery build, you're kind of stuck to that mythic, and this really opens up to you can still make that type of build without depending solely on that mythic. So
that's true. Basically, just takes the place of that mythic, right? More or less.
I think that's
pretty cool. You can also make it apply a constantly refreshing damage shield, like every 1 second apply a new shield. It's like a very small shield, but still anything that's constantly refreshing like that's going to be really good. And that's one of the things I think Arcanists are looking at to kind of stack with the shields they already have.
That's terrifying.
That's
what I'm labeling that one.
This thing can do a lot of cool stuff. I was playing around with that. That's going to be, we're going to see this one out there for sure. The one-handed shield throw ability, they got real creative on the name of this one. It's called Shield Throw, and you throw your shield.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. You just take the shield that your character has on its arm and you just chunk it at people. They showed off the multi-target option on a live stream demo and just bounces around to multiple targets. That looks pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Plus, all of these are really going to do it, but it just opens up a whole new realm with a sword and board having kind of a ranged type of option. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Whole new thing. And that's cool too. That's like a type of thing I've seen in other video games, like a bouncing shield that you throw and stuff. It's cool. The two-handed ability is called Smash. And it's just it's a conal burst attack with a 0.6 second cast time. It's kind of like an AoE dizzy swing, but it doesn't hit nearly as hard. And I noted that knockback is an option as one of the focus scripts, so you can make it an AoE, knock everyone back as you slap them with that thing. You can also make it a heal ability, so you swing your sword at your allies and heal them.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, really cool. For dual wield, we have Traveling Knife. It's very similar to the Shrouded Daggers ability. It's just like a knife that you chunk at people from far away. That's all it is. You can even apply a multi-target script to it, so it bounces just like Shrouded Daggers. It's very similar. I don't know why they chose such a similar thing for this, but
yeah.
You can apply a stun to it. You can make it pull people to you. Thought that was noteworthy. And I thought this would be cool for like a spell sword kind of power fantasy. You know, it's like it's a dual wield ability, but you can make it deal magic damage and cost magic or magicka.
Oh, that is cool.
So it could be cool if you're kind of going for that kind of magic Stam Sorky kind of thing. The bow ability or the grimoire is called Vault. They showed this one off on a live stream a couple of months ago. And this one's really cool. I think we'll see this one a lot. It's an AoE burst attack, and you simultaneously do a backflip. That AoE has a 6-meter radius. I think that backflip lands you like 15 meters away.
That's wild.
And it's instant. There's no cast time on that. This one's really cool. A lot of really great options for this one. An ability that I made on the PTS using this is I made it apply an immobilize to any enemies that AoE hits. Plus it removes snares and roots from me, and it grants me minor expedition. And of course, it's a bow ability, so I have a bow. I can do a roll dodge to put major expedition on top of that. It's a great escape tool. Root everybody in place, remove my snares, and give myself major and basically minor and basically major expedition at the same time.
And you're backflipping, 15 meters.
Yeah.
You said 15 meters away? Holy cow.
Yeah, you get really way out of there. It's like backwards too. It's kind of disorienting, but I think you could probably get used to it and work with it really well. But super cool, super fun. That's one where I made the ability with it, and I just ran around the little test room for several minutes just playing with it, doing that backflip and stuff. Really, really fun to... And like string it with like roll dodges and backflips and different things. You can really go crazy with it.
Definitely the roly-poly build right there.
Yeah. And this very well could go on old Betsy's back bar. The kind of thing that I'm looking for spellcrafting for her. This is maybe one of the closest things to it that I can do. So that's a cool one. The soul magic, there's 2 soul magic abilities or grimoires. These are both probably my favorite. They're really, really cool. The first one is called Soul Burst, and it's just an AoE burst around your character, just an instant, kind of like that Destro Staff Pulsar ability. Has an 8-meter radius, and you can make it damage, or it can be a healing ability. It can also be a CC ability. It can immobilize, snare, or pull people. Specifically these soul magic abilities can consume soul gems to deal oblivion damage, and it's a pretty good amount of oblivion damage, but it consumes a lot of soul gems. Shout out to our friend Sudica on the Discord. She did the math, and if you're proccing this on cooldown, you're going to be consuming about 300 soul gems per battleground.
Holy cow.
Actually put some value on soul gems.
Yeah, our soul gems can all of a sudden become this crazy marketable sellable item.
Might. Because it seems like this is going to be kind of a crazy amount of damage. Like I think there's going to be people really wanting to do this.
Oh, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, because we're just kind of lousy with soul gems right now. Like, what do I even do with these things?
I usually vendor, like when I get a full stack, I'll vendor it and then just let them go. You don't even think about it after a while.
Oh yeah, it's silly to even really have them almost. So that'll maybe place some value on soul gems. Let's see. I was just an example version of this. It's similar to the Vault ability, but I made a version of the soul magic ability that can immobilize enemies. And also snare them, slow them down, and it grants me minor expedition. That's if I were to use this, it's probably what I would do. And then the other soul magic ability is Wield Soul. This might be my very favorite one. It's a really awesome. All it is, it's just a single target, fully long range spammable. Very basic. That's all it is. But that's really what I love about both of these abilities is that they are so very basic, but they have so many customization options. You're guaranteed to be able to make it do what you want it to do, pretty much. So yeah, full 28-meter range, no cast time, just a range spammable. You can make it deal magic, physical, shock damage. I think there's a few other options. You can turn it into a stun, and it keeps the full 28-meter range. That means this is the only long-range stun option in the game.
Wow.
All of a sudden. I'm probably going to be using it as that on at least one build. You can also make it a pull. You can make it a heal ability, which might seem like not that exciting, but basically a breath of life that you can give to any class. That's pretty nice, you know? It might seem silly, but that's like the one weakness that wardens really have. They can't really heal people from far away. If they can just slot a breath of life on their bar next to polar wind for when their allies are 13 meters away, that just kind of basically solves that problem for them, and now they really are the ultimate healing machine.
Or heck, I would say this could replace the Necro heal. I mean, it already looks better than the Necro's burst heal.
It's true. It's very true. There's probably a script where you can make it apply like an additional heal over time as well, and some other buff thing. And you don't get a debuff like you do.
Yeah, there you go. A win-win.
I didn't even think of that, but you're right. That should just replace every Necro's heal.
Yes, every Necro burst heal.
So funny. Or if you want to be a Dragon Knight healer, here you go. You can heal people from far away. Finally.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of cool options with this thing. It can apply major breach. It can grant you pretty much any of the major buffs, your major damage buff, major crit buff, major armor buff. I think this specific ability is going to be really great for necromancers.
Finally.
It's going to be able to basically solve all their problems.
Finally get their buffs.
Yeah. Yep. I'm basically going to be able to make one ability with this thing that solves all the issues, all the pain points that I've been having with my necro. It's this soul magic ability. It uses soul gems. It actually still fits with their class identity. I feel like I'm not really giving up class identity.
Yeah, it does work with them.
Yeah. I have a few examples of how I think I'm going to use this. For a Nightblade, I think I'm going to use this as a ranged stun that applies major breach. From a Necro, I think I'm going to use it as a ranged stun that also gives me my weapon and spell damage major buff. Mm-hmm. Like I said, a Dragon Knight as a ranged heal could be pretty nice. That's really something I do. It'd be hard to give up coagulating blood. I know it's so good, but I really hate not being able to heal my teammates when I'm on a Dragon Knight.
It'd be tough to give up their strong heal, but it'd make you a lot more. It's a lot friendlier for the team, which is kind of what the Dragon Knights right now are. It's usually pretty selfish class. And so to be able to be more team oriented is pretty enticing.
That'd be nice. I think really just any ranged build, this is going to be a great option to look at just as you're spammable, if you just want a spammable that has very specific effects, and you can really dial it in exactly how you want, like the Psijic Order ability Crushing Weapon. It's really nice that you have a spammable that has major breach attached to it, but maybe you don't like that it costs stamina. So you can basically just make a copy of that ability here that costs magicka instead, plus has some other thing that you like attached to it as well. Just lots of little options like that to get things just exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool grimoire. Got to get used to calling them grimoires.
Grimoire.
Under Fighters Guild, we have a grimoire called Torchbearer, and it's just a AoE conal attack, like in melee range, that hits 3 times over a 2-second cast time. So you're just kind of going boom, 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 like that. And it's kind of cool. You're just kind of waving this torch in front of you. There's a bunch of options for this thing. It seems like all the stuff that has long cast times, they give them really cool options. They can do a lot of really wild stuff. You can make it knock back, so it's another AoE like 3 times knockback thing.
Oh my gosh.
It can heal. You can make it a heal. It can do damage. There's also like some of the scripts take advantage of the fact that it hits 3 times, so maybe it'll like do more damage each hit, or stuff like that. That's a pretty cool. But the cast time and the fact that it's melee, I think, might make it hard to use. But
it's tough.
It could be cool. Under Mage's Guild, we have Ulfsild's Contingency. Rolls right off the tongue.
That's just easy.
This is one I think we'll see a lot of, especially on Arcanists. So basically what you do is you cast a rune on yourself, and then it just kind of stays there. And then the next time you cast any ability with a cost, including this ability itself, then that rune bursts into this AoE. That's what the Grimoire does, and then your scripts will determine what that AoE actually does. But you're just kind of like preloading this thing on yourself, and then the next time you cast an ability, it pops and does whatever your scripts tell it to do. I think it'll be very useful. It can deal damage, it can heal, it can knock people back, immobilize, it can apply damage shields in an AoE. Pretty good sized damage shields. This is another tool I think Arcanists are going to be interested in. Another thing it can do is it can leave an AoE on the ground that like leaves a permanent area of whatever other scripts you choose. It's weird. It's hard for me to explain, but like you choose this one script that basically says like, okay, now your next two scripts that you choose are going to be like in this AoE that this script is going to leave on the ground.
Oh, wow.
Like,
okay.
Pretty cool. So you can really, get with it on that thing.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Grizzly says it'll be a bomber skill. Very true. Probably be a bomber skill. Actually, I didn't think of that at all, but you're right. You're totally right, Grizz. And then we're coming up on what I'm betting is Dave Starjumper's very favorite. Under the Alliance War, we have Trample. And what this is you summon your mount. It has a 1.5 second cast time. You summon the actual mount that you have assigned to your character, and it pops up right next to you and just charges forward and tramples people.
This is glorious. This is going on the Guarplar.
Oh, yeah, it's got to, right? Oh, gorgeous. Oh, yeah, so you'll have an actual Guar mount, like, running around.
Yeah, he can't do damage. That goes against the build. It'll have to be CC, but that'll be fantastic.
Yeah. So, yeah, he charges in front of you, hits everyone in his path. You can make it a CC ability. It can knock back or stun people. It leaves, like, a path behind it, like an AoE on the ground, and that can do all kinds of different things, including it can just be caltrops, which is kind of cool.
Now, can this one heal? Because then that would really be perfect for the Guarplar.
I would have to go double check. I feel like I would have written healing down here in my notes if it was.
Summon your mount to run into your allies to heal them. That would be...
Yeah, you'll have a hard time with it if it's just CC because it probably still will deal a little damage to do that CC. But maybe not. I don't know.
Tough decisions.
Yeah. Is that your favorite one?
Yeah, for me. I mean, I think that's going to be realistically that's going to be everybody's favorite one. I think for me personally, favorites are definitely going to be the trample, with the shield throw being a close second for me personally.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I'm a lot more boring with my favorites. I like the two soul magic ones a lot. The soul burst and the wield soul.
You're not even thinking about the ability. You're just thinking about the utility.
I'm not really thinking about the visual. These visually are super boring. It's just an AoE burst and a long ranged attack. That's all it is. But the fact that they are so basic and they have so very many customization options, and between the two of them, they're going to fit on literally any build.
Yeah.
So. Those are the two that I like. The bow vault ability is going to be really good too. I'm going to like that.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the shield throw and then the shield charge. Something about that I just think is going to be a really cool visual. Like you throw your shield at him and then you charge right up to him. And then, I don't know. Something with that's forming in my head.
I need to log back in and look at the script options for that. I wonder if they have that balance so that it can be an actual spammable, or if that is more of a utility where it's like applying debuffs or something like that.
Ooh, I'd love if it was a spammable.
Yeah. I bet it is. I bet it could be like an AoE spammable maybe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the question is, I've actually, shout out to Uncle Sam. He asked me this question in voice chat a couple of nights ago, and I've heard some other people toss the question around. Is this expansion going to be worth the purchase? And I think if you are a PvPer, I think it's no question yes, because you are gonna want spellcrafting, scribing.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to have your hands on this thing. You're not gonna be the only one who doesn't have it. Okay, that's gonna suck. For scribing alone, I think it's worth the $40. Honestly, you don't need any other reason.
Yeah, I think just overall, all around, I would say I think it's worth the purchase because exactly what you said from a PvP perspective, this scribing is everybody in PvP is going to want to get their hands on this. It's going to be this next level of really dialing in a build, and then from purchasing from a PvE standpoint, like. I mean, I almost would argue that's always a yes. Like if from a PvE standpoint, you got a whole new zone, whole new story quest, whole new, a whole new story design. And from a PvE standpoint, that's really, that's kind of where you're coming from. So I would say from both sides, I think this is overall a yes to the purchase.
Yeah, it's their 10-year anniversary. You got to think they're planning to kind of bring it, so I'm hoping that story really slaps and there's some surprises and stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to be like waiting for it to go to ESO Plus or anything like that. I'm snatching that stuff up right away.
The scribing itself, like this is, I feel like it kind of reminds me of when they did the first hybrid, when they switched all the sets over. I can't remember if they did the sets. I think they did the sets first and then the kind of the abilities switched over, but it kind of reminds me of that. Like it's such a change that we really don't know what it's going to do until we really get a hold of this thing and kind of test it for a while. Like
you're totally right. It's like a new paradigm.
Yeah, it's like
shift.
We can kind of guess and theorize all we want, but like it's such a huge change. I just think we have no idea what we're going to get into until we really get a hold of this thing.
Yeah, you're totally right. When they really went for hybridization, and it was the patch when they finally made it like, okay, every skill scales with anything, so anything goes.
Wait, what?
And we're just like, does not compute. My brain broke. I don't understand.
Exactly that feeling.
How do I even make a build now? I don't even understand.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, totally. I'm really wondering how. Like over time, like 6 months time after scribing has been in the game, like how much of a disadvantage will you really be at if you don't have it? Like, is it going to be one of those things like, you don't have to have it? Or is it going to be like, no, you really need it or you're not going to be having a great time at all?
I hope it's the first of what you said, because I think that's always been one of the best things about ESO is that you could literally have somebody have the base game with those OG original sets and still be they can still be viable, still be competitive, And I think that I hope they continue that with this change. Like I hope it adds a whole new level. Like, if you get the expansions, you get the new stuff, you get the new sets, you get to more theorize different, theory craft different builds. But if you only want to go to the OG original base game, you can still be viable. I hope that trend continues.
I think certain classes will be more or less incentivized. Like necromancers are going to want to jump on this thing right away. Yeah. Like don't even think twice. Yeah. Nightblades, maybe not. Nightblade's got it all already. Like you might not really be gaining all that much as a Nightblade, or a Warden. Might not really be gaining all that much. They kind of already have everything.
Yep, exactly.
All right, man, let's take ourselves a little break, a little 2 or 3 minute break, and we'll come back here, talk about Deathmatch Weekend and some other stuff. All right, we'll be right back. Well, let's talk about the goings on here lately.
Well, let's do
it. In the Elder Scrolls Online. The biggest deal going on is Deathmatch Weekend. It just ended this morning, so we're mourning the loss of Deathmatch Weekend. But boy, oh boy, what a time it was while it lasted.
You live at the highest, and then you just fall to the lowest.
The highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yes.
But this time, man, I don't know what it was. There was some kind of special magic in the air this go around for Deathmatch Weekend. It was not like, I don't think any of the Deathmatch Weekends so far have been this freaking lit, dude. It's just like morning, afternoon, evening, doesn't matter what time of day. The Q-Pops are instant. They're sweaty as hell. and it's awesome.
That's honestly awesome. For me, that's what it was. Is that I feel like the past deathmatch weekends, we're excited, we love them, but the crowd wasn't there. The numbers weren't there. It was like not a lot of people investing in the weekend, and this weekend was just packed. I mean, the numbers were there. The theme park was full. Sold out tickets. It was fantastic.
We were doing solos, instant pops, duos. 5 minutes or less, 4 squads. Yep. 7-8 minute queue times. We were just going nuts. It's like the good old days were back. They were for a few days.
They were.
It was awesome, man. And I got to say, like the match, I think, when there's actually a good, healthy population, it seems like the matchmaking system works pretty good, actually. Like most games were pretty close.
Yeah.
Like most games went fully to time. It was a rare exception that like a killing blow ended the match. It was usually the time ran out and all 3 teams were pretty closely matched. So, man, just awesome. It was so awesome. I wish Deathmatch Weekend was every weekend or just all the time.
Yeah, it was just it's wild to me how much I forget. One, just our characters, the way we build our characters, they're just better in death matches. Yeah. They're just built for it. They're built to be part of a team. They're built not to sprint across the map before they get into a fight.
Right.
They just play better in a death match. It's like I don't know. It's like if you have a race car and you finally get it out to the racetrack instead of just driving it around town all day. All right,
this is what it's meant to do.
This is where this thing is supposed to live. And you just sense that. It's just an immediate, you're like, okay, this is what it's about. And there's just so many parts about deathmatch that you forget. Like caring about the scoreboard is fun.
I love caring about winning. Caring about winning is awesome.
It's so much fun. It's crazy how easy it is to forget that.
My favorite feeling in the world is being like close behind in second place and cinching the win at the last minute.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Get those couple of kills and take the lead at the end. I forgot how much I enjoyed.
We haven't cared about winning in so long. It's such a good feeling.
Yeah. You don't even look at the scoreboard. You don't even look at the score. That's our regular. The score over, that pops up, you're like, I don't really care about that. You just look at the kills and wins. But to actually care about the scoreboard, it's nice. And I would even say this, to care about deaths. If you're giving up a death, that's a point for them. They're getting scores. It just, the whole thing, it's so easy to forget.
What's also nice too is just as people who like to make builds all the time, and it takes a lot of testing to make kind of final build decisions, where especially like us here on this podcast, where I make a YouTube video where I'm kind of putting the Sparrowhawk seal of approval. I really want to do a lot of testing before I do that. And it's hard to do when you're getting Capture the Relic or Crazy King matches, and you're getting these random little scraps with random people, and it's like this data is not super useful, you know. But this been every single match, this is all excellent data, okay, let me put this set on, do another match, okay, side-by-side comparison. It's like you can just knock out a build so fast because you can get the testing done so fast and kind of finalize everything, and within 2 or 3 matches you have your build done. Whereas normally it takes me a week or 2 to get enough testing and actual valuable data to really make a decision.
It's hard to theory craft when you got a teammate holding a chaos ball that's just got a debuff doing damage to you constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're spending, like you said, you're spending most of your time sprinting and chasing people who don't really care to fight at all. They're not really built for fighting, it's like, it seemed like I was doing a crap ton of damage, but that dude wasn't really playing PvP, so that doesn't really tell me anything,
Yep, absolutely.
So, Deathmatch Weekend, it's good. We liked it.
It was great. Now, I will say this. I'm curious your take on this, because this was one of my takeaways with the Deathmatch Weekend. The shields, the world of shields, it's back, right? And it's only getting bigger. The BG shield world. It's not even the shield so much that bother me. It's the fact that it just cuts the damage number off. I wish they would just count that as our damage. Just give us the numbers for damage, because it's I was in some solo matches, and you hop in the solo match. There's 7 Arcanist in there, and it's like I would have a good kill count death ratio, and I'd be like, all right, I feel good at this, and I look at my damage and be like, what did I do? And then you have to like actually calculate. It's like, oh wait, hold on, like I was doing damage. It was going all into shields. It's like really skewed the system for me. It's the necro with the blast bones to the oomph degree right now.
Yeah, for listeners who aren't aware, any damage that you do to damage shields that damage does not appear on the scoreboard. So if you're fighting a team that has an Arcist that's spamming shields on the whole team the whole time, your damage numbers will look really bad at the end, even though you're actually dealing a crap ton of damage.
You're doing a crazy amount of damage.
Yeah, pretty funny. And you can look at combat metrics, and the combat metric will show you the real story there.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems something so silly. Like just count the damage. If your character's dealing damage, just count it. You know, like just simplify it.
I really do wish they would, because anyway. Speaking of, on the topic of Deathmatch Weekend and Battlegrounds and all that stuff, I have a few builds that I've really been focusing on while we can play all this deathmatch. It's like, okay, I got these builds I'm going to kind of knock out and really get a lot of playtime in for these and make some build decisions with, and I think I'm in a really good spot with these things. So first of all is my Arcanist. Shout out to King Nar. He was a guest on the last episode, and he was talking about his Arcanist, and he has inspired me to make a similar build. So it's a beam build. It's a beamer. The build is beamer. Yeah, it is. I'm finding the beam it actually kind of is the secret to success with the Arcanist and to enjoying playing the Arcanist. I'll get into that here in a second. So the build is Azure Blight Reaper as a double bar set, Deadly Strikes as a front bar set with a lightning staff, a Defending Potentate's Bow on the back bar, Gaze of Sithis Mythic Helm, and One Piece Magma. I'm using Jewels of Misrule and Tri-Stat Potions. You definitely want to do that for the sustain. And so I feel like I need to defend the Potentate's Bow for just a second. I know that, that's an arena weapon I could be putting back there. I think a lot of people are going to point out like a Maelstrom Frost Staff would be a really great option. Of course it would be. I like my builds to be set up a certain way. I like a bow on the back bar. Okay, all right, fight me.
Deal with it.
And none of the arena bows really work. I actually did try them. I was doing the Master Bow for a while, and actually for a while I was thinking Master Bow's the one. But no, I don't really like it. I even did the Maelstrom Bow. It's not bad, but a reinforced Potentate's Bow, that's like 8% damage mitigation. That applies to your damage shields. Like that's not a bad thing to have on your back bar. So I'm cool with it. Frees me up. I can slot anything I want. I don't have to pick a specific ability.
That's exactly what I was just about to point out, is that Potentate's Bow, you use an arena bow, you're locked into a skill. That's that you have to put that skill on there. And so I could see the Potentates, with the defensive and kind of letting you have full freedom over that bar. I could see the appeal in that.
Yeah, and I can feel that extra 8% mitigation on that back bar. Arcanist is already pretty tanky, so it helps.
The tankiest. They're the tankiest.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. They're an overpowered class. I've played a lot of Arcanist over Deathmatch Weekend, and I'm just like laughing at myself. Like, what is this ridiculous class?
It's gotten me to the point, if I see an Arcanist in a BG, I'll give it about 10 seconds. That first 10 seconds of like, am I going to fight this Arcanist this match? Nope. I'm going to move on. If I see them, I'm just going to move on from them.
It's at a point where like, you can't help but laugh. Like, what is this, an Arcanist that died? What? Like, do you even know how to play? What is happening? How did you die? As far as the offense goes, let me talk about Azure Blight for a second. So Azure Blight's that set that you build up to 20 stacks with dot damage, only dot damage. And so it's typically a really hard set to use because it's generally just really difficult, or it takes a really long time to get all the way up to those 20 stacks. But then when it does, it pops and makes a giant explosion, and the more people it hits, the more damage it does. It's one of the best sets you can use in like group fights if you can put together a build that can use it well. And Arcanist is probably the very best class at using it because of that giant beam cannon that they have. It counts as a damage over time ability, so it builds those Azure Blight stacks, and it ticks every 0.3 seconds.
That's wild.
So that you build those stacks. There's no cooldown on how fast those stacks can build up. So I put 2 dots on a target and just start blasting with the beam. And basically guaranteed every time I cast that beam, if they have those 2 dots on them, every time I cast the beam, Azure Blight's going to pop. It's a very reliable set on a beam Arcanist. So you can use a lot of different abilities, a lot of different dots and stuff like that to proc it. The setup that I've been enjoying, I like using Caltrops and the Fulminating Rune. Those are basically the 2 dots I put on them, and then I root them with the Tentacle. I fear them with the Colorless Pool rune. Then I just start blasting with that beam. And the root followed with the fear is the key. Okay, the beam, I was really resistant to the beam early on because it's impossible to get people to stand inside that thing and to actually hit them with it. And that's true, it is. You really, really have to rely heavily on crowd control and like trick enemies into getting trapped inside of it. So when you root them with the Tentacle, they're gonna do a roll dodge out of that root, guaranteed. And you cast that. If you cast that fear on them immediately after rooting them, that fear has a 2-second delay, and it basically is like the exact right timing to catch them in the middle of that roll dodge, and they get frozen in the middle of the air. Meanwhile, you're already blasting. That beam's already coming.
Brutal.
So you're just kind of trapping them there. So you put it doesn't really matter what 2 dots. I feel like you really do need to have the Fulminating Rune, the Arcanist ability. That's one of their very best ability. It does a ton of damage. That and 1 other dot is really all you need. And then root, fear, blast them with the beam. And it's very, very effective. Even if they kind of break out of it and get out of the beam, you just kind of keep doing that throughout the whole fight. And eventually you're going to wear them out because we've talked all about how roots and stuns and stuff are, they have different cooldowns. You can kind of keep alternating them back and forth like that. So you can just kind of keep doing that until they're out of stamina, and eventually you're just going to get them. This is the build that I've by far have had the most success with over Deathmatch Weekend. Not just at staying alive, not just at being a tanky Arcanist, but also at stacking up the bodies with that beam and the Azure Blight explosions and all that stuff.
Yeah,
very much recommend
I've seen you drive this thing. It's potent, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. The thing is, that beam does a ton of damage. It does a crap ton of damage. The challenge is just getting people to get hit with that damage. But I want to talk about this just a little bit because I'm realizing I was very resistant to the beam at first, and I think the result of that was me getting bored with the class and kind of determining aside from the flashy visuals and stuff, the class is pretty boring. There's not really any interesting mechanics happening here. I'd rather just go play my main or my Nightblade or something more interesting. But when you throw the beam into the picture, they really are unique. It's really only they do this thing, and it's a very special thing. And the fact that it consumes Crux, and it really does not do, you really don't want to cast it unless you have all 3 Crux. And so you're always mindful of that because your main damage shield ability that makes you so tanky also consumes Crux. And generally, the way I've been building my Arcanist this whole time is I really just want to have one thing that consumes Crux. That way I don't have to think about it, and it's just always there, and I can just play. But I was doing myself a disservice by doing that because you kind of need 2 things that consume Crux so that you have to think about it, And then it becomes an actual class mechanic. Like, do I really need to cast my shield right now? I'm actually okay. My health bar is full. I don't need my shield. I'm going to keep that Crux so I can blast this dude with my beam, Whereas before I wouldn't have thought twice about just spamming my shield all day, So it actually adds a dimension to the play style. Plus the beam's just such a unique ability anyway. I think if you just embrace it, accept it, lean into it.
Well, and it looks awesome.
And it looks awesome. It's so fun to use.
Awesome.
If you're like me and you kind of have had a hard time getting into the class, I think that's my advice is don't resist the beam. Kind of lean into that, and that might be the key. All right. So I think that's the main build I really wanted to talk a lot about. I have 2 other builds. These will go a little quicker. Other one is Hambone Malone. He's my Warden. And he's basically kind of a copy of the famous Icy Claws, which is our good friend Uncle Sam's overpowered Warden build. Of course, part of the reason it's overpowered is because Sam plays it. I'm not Uncle Sam, so I don't quite get those results, but this has been doing me pretty good. So it's Ice Furnace as a double bar set, Phoenix Moth Theurge as a back bar set with a bow, Maelstrom Frost Staff as a front bar set, Gaze of Sithis Mythic Helm, and One Piece Magma. So I want to point out, this is not Sam's build. The Ice Furnace and the Maelstrom Frost Staff are in his build. I really don't know what the rest of his build is. This is kind of the Ket Sparrowhawk version of that.
His build's changed since the podcast started.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah, Ice Furnace, Phoenix Moth, Maelstrom Frost Staff, Sithis Helm, One Piece Magma. And I say, I know people are going to say, why is the Maelstrom Frost Staff on the front bar? It's because I spend just as much time on the back bar as I do on the front bar. Plus, the Perfected Staff gives you a line of penetration anyway, so it really, it kind of doesn't matter in my opinion. The combo, I'm not really doing combos. I'm just kind of spamming stuff. So I'm putting Caltrops and Wall of Frost on the ground, and I'm doing Sub-Assaults and Force Pulses. Just making sure enemies are standing in those two AoEs, and I'm doing Sub-Assaults and Force Pulses. I do understand that Deep Fissure applies Major Breach, and so I wouldn't need Caltrops in that case. But I like the snare that I get from Caltrops, and just being able to kind of throw it on a piece of ground to disrupt enemies and stuff like that. So since I'm using it anyway, and it already gives me Major Breach, then I may as well just use Sub-Assault that hits every 3 seconds. It has a much easier kind of cadence for me to follow, and it's just easier to use. I like it better.
Nice.
I feel like I'm just like defending myself against like an imaginary person that's picking my build apart.
I can't believe you're saying this about my build. I hear you in my brain. I hear what you're saying.
It's like, I guess I hang out with so many PvPers that are always like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? So I'm like, before you, I know. I know.
I'm excited to see what the Grimoires are going to do for this potential build. You may be able to customize it up a little bit.
Maybe so, but I don't know. I've been pretty happy with it, how it is here. I just have the Caltrop and the Wall of Frost on the ground, Sub-Assault, Force Pulse. And then I'm doing Echoing Vigor, Polar Wind, Green Lotus, and the Trees Ultimate. So I have just spamming a bunch of AoE kind of heals and damage and stuff. And you pretty much come out like 50-50, in damage and heals. I was getting around like 1.5 million of each, pretty consistently in some sweaty matches the other night. It was pretty good. Doing some duos. Sam was on his Dragon Knight. Pretty fun. But really, Ice Furnace and Maelstrom Frost Staff, whatever else you put with it, doesn't really matter. Those two things combined do magical things on a Warden. Recommend it. And then I'm going to talk about Old Betsy really quick, and then I'll shut up for a while.
Good old Betsy.
I have kind of seen the light on Plague Break. I've been using Plague Break as Betsy's main damage set here lately. Dude, this set is OP, it turns out. I've never used Plague Break before until literally yesterday. I equipped it, started doing some BGs, and I'm like, wow, this set's amazing. So Plague Break as a double bar set, Wretched Vitality on the back bar as a bow, Black Rose Prison dual wield on the front bar, Gaze of Sithis, Mythic Helm, One Piece Magma. And her offense, it's all about the AoE stacking pulses. So it's Solar Barrage, Blade Cloak, Crescent Sweep. And then I just start jabbing. I also have Toppling Charge and the Beam. But Plague Break, man, I've been looking, like during this deathmatch weekend, I played a bunch of games with her, and I've been looking in combat metrics after every single game. Plague Break, when you add up all the different components, it's like 15 to 20% of my total damage.
Holy cow.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb is for a proc set, if it's doing 10% of your total damage, that's considered pretty good. 12% is really good. 15 or more is kind of unheard of, and it's like consistently in that ballpark. So that's counting, that's the dot component, that's the explosion, and the disease status that it's guaranteed to apply as well. When you add up all three of those things together, I mean, it's not infrequently like 20% of my total damage. I think one time it was like 24% of my total damage, that one set.
My goodness.
Yeah, pretty wild. So that has taken the place of Deadly Strikes. Deadly Strikes was increasing some of my damage by 15%. So this is giving me more than that, basically. Let's see, what else did I have to say here? Her support abilities are just the Cleanse, Honor the Dead, and the Practiced Incantation ult. And I try to prioritize if I see a teammate dying. If I have a choice between saving a teammate or executing a target, I choose saving the teammate. That's the thing that is going to help me out in the long run more than anything. As a Templar, I don't use mist form. I don't have invisibility or streak or anything like that. I need those meat bodies around me to help me stay alive, and so I need to help them stay alive. So that's how you play a Templar.
Now, remind me again on Plague Break. Is it just anybody you deal damage to gets one of the?
Yeah, you basically put this disease dot on you when you deal direct damage. You apply a disease dot to them. And it's a cooldown per target. So, you can put it on one person after. You can put it on multiple people simultaneously. I think it lasts 12 seconds with a 15-second cooldown per target. And then, yeah, if that dot effect ends too soon, like if it when the effect is removed early, I think is how the wording is, then it causes this explosion that deals more and more damage the more people that it hits.
Yeah. Okay.
And the thing is obviously cleansing will make it pop, but also just killing someone who has it on them makes it pop. So what you do is you build for a ton of damage. I'm really not trying to apply it to a whole group necessarily, but it just so happens as a Templar, since you're jabbing, you're doing that anyway. But I'm really focusing one specific target and really trying to just kill them, and that's going to set off everybody else.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a really good set. Really, really, with the status effect buffs and stuff like that, it's doing really well. So, Davius, I think I might be done talking for a little while. What have you been up to, man?
Same thing as you, Deathmatch Weekend. I actually did a lot of, I was in the solo queue a lot, but I did a lot of, group matches and duos and stuff. Did those too. And so I think like most people out there, I dusted off the healer and really, did some matches with the healer. In Deathmatch, you really can kind of get a true sense, I feel like, of a deathmatch healer, which is...
You know what? I think a lot of people had a similar idea this weekend, but, but continue.
Yeah. So I busted out the main, the Guaraplar Davius. Just kind of reminder what the build is. It's Oaken Soul, 5-piece, Cold Harbor's favorite, the Maelstrom Resto staff, Engine Guardian, monster set, 1 trainee, 1 Druid's Braids. And really, just kind of a reminder, this is the whole bar, everything heals, even the light attack. I use the Psijic ability, the Symbiosis. And I had a lot of fun with it. This is like it's not an OG healing build. I'm not going to say that. I will say I've contemplated swapping out Engine Guardian for the Ozezazon.
I pronounce it Ozazon.
Ozazon. Yeah. I've contemplated swapping out Engine Guardian just because that's a great healing monster set. It's probably the best, and so I think that could only add to this build. But I had a lot of fun.
Just to interject, if I may, really, not that I'm a healing expert, but I think Zol's is just worth having in every healer's inventory at least, whether you wear it all the time or not. Just have it. It's because if you go up against a rush comp, like Zol's just shuts it down immediately. Just slap that on.
You got to get that on instantly. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun with this build. I think it works perfect as just kind of it's a really fun kind of a duo build. If you're doing a duo, hop in on this build, get somebody with crazy damage, and then just throw heals like crazy. And it's extra good right now for one reason, just Templars with extended ritual. It's a good time. It's a good time for Templars.
Oh yeah,
with extended ritual.
Your teammates are thankful.
Yes, exactly. And so, it heals are really good. It gets it builds ult quick, and so it has that Templar heal ult that you're spamming all the time. You're getting cleanses out there. It works really well. I found out that the Cold Harbor's favorite, the honor that spawns the heal. Really, the more I play this build, the more that heal I use for myself. Like, that's the heal that ends up healing myself the most, because I'm throwing all my other heals on my teammates and in making sure I'm keeping them healed. And then I usually kind of strategically use my movement to go and hop in the honor circle to keep myself alive if I'm getting targeted. It's kind of a nice, all right, I'll that will take care of me while I can focus on my teammates. And so it's been pretty fun being on that build.
Of all the like silly themed builds that oddly work, that's just what it's just like what, but there he is, like freaking working. It's like functional. It's like getting the job done.
Talk about another wacky build that I do think gets the job done. The other build that I was playing on a lot this weekend that I haven't played in a while is old Bear Claw the Nord, my Stamina Warden. This is the point blank snipe build. The reminder what the build is it's Oaken Soul, 5-piece Swamp Raider, the Vadish Rambo, which is that point blank snipe, Baylorg monster set, 1 trainee, 1 Trude's Braid. And man, this, we've talked about this build a lot, and it's been too long since I played it, but it's like the perfect little package for an Oaken Soul.
It really is.
I got everything I need, It's got a hard-hitting spammable with the snipe and the point-blank snipe. It's got a nice AoE with sub-assault that's doing the debuffs. You can use Crystallized Slab or Shimmering Shield. Both are fantastic options. You've got Vigor and Polar Wind, so you've got your hot, you've got your strong heal you can use for yourself or your teammates. And then with the Toxic Barrage is what I use for the ultimate. So you've got this crazy high damage, high pressure ult that when you throw it out there, they've got to have an answer for it. And then it has speed with the bow. With using a bow, you get your expedition. So it works. It's a nice little tightly grouped package.
And you said you had Shimmering Shield, right? Did I miss that? Or
yes. I was just saying. I personally use Shimmering Shield. You can use Crystallized Slab. Both are great. I use the Shimmering Shield to get to that Toxic Barrage with the Oaken Soul being a Nord, and then you tie in that Shimmering Shield. I'm getting that Toxic Barrage a lot, and I love throwing that out there. It's just so much damage, and it's so much pressure when you throw that ult out there. But I'll tell you what, as you're talking about old Betsy, I'm sitting here thinking, that's why I was asking about the Plague Break. I'm tempted to test what taking Swamp Raider out for Plague Break would look like in this build.
I think that's just an easy
You're like, make it happen now. I think, but I might have to test that out. That might be pretty nasty.
Yeah, dude, it's a very good. It's performing very well right now. I think people are like kind of considering it one of the top tier PvP sets right now.
I'm gonna have to test that out.
Back to the top.
Yeah, I'll have to test that because Swamp Raider I already have as a body piece. And I think I already have a full Plague Break set, so I can just easily swap that out and see what it looks like.
And even like don't even worry about getting the explosion to happen. Like even just the dot and the disease status alone is a lot of damage. And like that explosions to me, I kind of think of that pop as like an extra bonus. Like, ooh, I got a group wipe that time. Nice,
Yeah,
still like great damage otherwise.
Yeah, and it's like non-focus damage, right? Like it's taking care of itself. You're doing other things while it's doing its own thing. It's a nice,
it's just dealing any direct damage applies it. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to throw Plague Break on old Bear Claw, see what that looks like.
Overland set, or it's a rewards for the worthy set. I think you can just buy it. It's real cheap. Easy
to get,
easy peasy. Yeah.
So yeah, those are the two builds I kind of lived on with the Deathmatch Weekend. I obviously was on Lord of Nords all the time, but everybody already knows that. I don't have to say that much. But yeah, other than the Deathmatch Weekend, before the Deathmatch Weekend, I've been doing a lot of housing.
That's right.
I've kind of I haven't touched housing in I feel like forever, but I forgot that I'll say this. I actually really like housing. It's been a whole lot of fun. We changed up the guild hall, new location, new type of house. I don't know what the way to say that is. New house, different house. Yeah,
a new player house, like a different house.
There we go. Yeah. But totally changed it up, redesigned the whole thing. I had a heck of a lot of fun. Not only did I have fun kind of doing it, but me personally, like I'm a big, I love doing art. I've always been a doodler, if you will, drawing,
creative dude.
Painting, to try to. And it as silly as it sounds, like doing the housing and kind of getting in that mindset of what would this look like here? What do these colors look like together? Or how does this match around. It kind of
got real creative with it, man. You got
it got the spark
into that imagination
going.
space.
Yeah, it really got the spark going. And not only did I have a whole bunch of fun doing the housing, but it actually caused me to do kind of like start doing art again outside of the game. And I would say it's been a long time since I've done anything with art in a while. So
it's so funny because it started with, I was just asking you like, hey, could you like just arrange a few things so that they're a little easier to get to? You're like, yeah, got you, buddy. And it's a whole different thing now.
I had forgot till this exact moment that's how it started out. You were like, hey, do you mind moving I think you were like, hey, do you mind moving I think it was the trial dummy and like the armory. You're like, do you mind moving those where people could see those a little easier? And then it really was to me just, yep, I got you. New home, new design, new build, no
totally,
worries.
just everything's new now.
Overhauled the whole thing. Yeah,
and a very different, I mean...
totally different
not
style.
A completely different thing from what we had before. All different things.
Totally different style. And and I like this new style though, because like over time, I feel like I've gotten some decently fancy housing items.
Dude, it's a marvel in there.
Very shiny, a lot of lights, a lot of wackiness.
There's areas where like you walk into it and it looks like you're underwater because you have like bubbles and coral and stuff in there and stuff.
Oh yeah, so had a lot of fun with it. I've been, since I've done that. Usually when I log in and I'm waiting in like a BG queue, I'm in there tinkering or moving something around or taking a look at like, oh, maybe I want to add some sort of color here, and so I've had a whole bunch of fun. Yep, there's a dueling arena in there. If anybody wants to go in there and duel, we have that now. I feel like efficiency wise, that was the original goal of this, but I feel like efficiency wise, it's much more efficient. Like all the stuff you need is like right at the door. There, all the crafting areas like still very close to the door, but it's all in one kind of packed place. And then, like you said, we actually have like a dueling space now. I don't think it's as big as what our last guild hall is, but to me, it like feels bigger because it's spaced out in a different way. I don't know if that makes sense.
I don't think big is necessarily good. You just need to be big enough to have the stuff, but otherwise, it can be a bad thing for things to be too big. You know?
Yeah. Oh well, and that's the other thing I like about this is that I went with a different tactic, and then the old guild hall, I really tried to like design the whole thing, like design the whole space, make it look good. And then I always got frustrated because I never could put enough items in there to do what I wanted to do. I always was hitting that max cap, and it was like, And then on this one, I really just kind of blocked in. I really was like, all right, I'm not going to have enough to do what I want to do. And so I really kind of chose which parts I wanted to decorate and blocked in the rest. And I'm really happy I did that because it really let me kind of decorate it the way I want to and not have to worry about hitting that cap. And so it worked out. It worked out really well.
Nice. Very cool. And I've been meaning to, I need to buy the snug pod. I'm pretty sure it's really cheap or maybe even earnable with gold.
Is that the mud?
It's not mud. I don't think it's mud, but it's kind of like that. It's like an Argonian style home, and it's like a little... almost looks like a plant thing or something. I don't know. But there's I've seen a few people that have done this. Sudica's one of them that it's just kind of like, it's just the right size where like you port into this thing and all your essentials are just like within arm's reach, you know, like, okay, banker's right here, decon's right here, just kind of everything's just right in front of your face, and then you just leave.
And then you're out.
Yeah.
That's good.
GrizzlyCon Snug Pod is Wood Elf. Okay, Wood Elf, not Argonian.
See, I was
growing off of the Elden Root tree. Grizz, he has all the lore.
He knows this stuff. Humble Mud. That's the Argonian.
Humble Mud.
Humble Mud.
We're housing experts, Grizzly. Obviously.
We clearly know the different homes.
Nice, man. Is that all you've been up to?
Yeah, pretty much. BGs and housing. Been really into housing lately. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. Well, let's move on and talk about some emails. We need to get into them because we actually have some emails to read. So first one. Hold on. Snugpod, 40K gold. Oh, man, it's nothing.
Oh, man, that's a deal.
Oh, wait. So scrollingpodcast@gmail.com is our email address. If you'd like to, listen, we're learning. Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. Hold on. I'm going to try it again. Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. If you'd like to send us an email, that's where you can send it. Make any suggestions for the show, ask us a question, say hello, shout out to a friend. Anything you want. Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com.
Just tell us.
Okay, so we've been back and forth on this email prize thing. Guys, I think we're going to have to stop doing it after all. Even though the gold reserves are back and that gold is going to be put to good use. I promise you'll see. But the email prize I think is going to have to stop. For one, it's just a bit of a hassle. For two, like, I don't know if you've noticed, most of the people that write the show are Xbox players, and the gold reserves are on the PC server.
We keep picking the Xbox winners and then saying, darn.
It sure would be great if we could give some of this gold to the Xbox chapter of the Stoons Goons, but we don't have a way to do that. So we're going to forego doing the email prize, but please do keep emailing us. We really enjoy it. Yes, it adds a lot to the show.
We do love the emails. They're a lot of fun.
First email comes from the famous Jim. Jim says, thanks for the uninterrupted string of great podcasts. I appreciate the guests joining to add additional insights. Build advice, strategies, and their own stories make for a great format. A topic I would like to suggest is the strategy around traits in weapons, charge versus precise. Adding to this is the glyphs used between weapons, damage, shock, etc. Hopefully you and your brain trust can help me figure out a general approach for damage or healing builds. Thanks, Jim. P.S. I recently joined the Xbox Stoons Goons, but under my witness protection name.
Nice.
Interesting. Nice. So he's in there, guys, somewhere.
He's in there.
Who is he?
Who could he be?
Yeah, we got to start checking. There's like 150 people it could be.
Yeah, there's a lot of people it could be from.
Thanks for the email, Jim, and the kind words. Really appreciate it, man. I don't know if we're going to have the definitive answer, but we'll have an answer here about the traits and whatnot for your weapons. So for your front bar, I think it depends on if you're using a two-hander or dual wield. The answers are a little bit different. For a two-hander, I think generally sharpened and charged are the most popular two. I think precise can still be pretty good, especially if it's particularly a crit build. But probably those three are the main ones, and it's just kind of going to depend on your build. Charged is not necessarily always the go-to. It's the very popular trait to use right now because status effects are so powerful. But I think if you're dealing multiple different damage types, like maybe 3 or more, then charged is probably pretty good, because you're applying different debuffs and different statuses and stuff like that. But if you're like a sorcerer or a mag blade or something where you're mostly just dealing like magic damage and not much else, then you probably want sharpened or precise in that case to really maximize that burst. Probably would. So yeah, burst builds probably want to go sharpened or precise, and pressure builds probably want to go charged for the most part. If you're dual wield, the rule of thumb for a long time has been for Nirnhone to be your main hand because it gives you twice as much value as it seems like it should compared to the other traits. So you just put Nirnhone in your main hand, and then your offhand can kind of be, it's kind of like the same options for your two-hander, really. It can be charged, or it can be precise or sharpened, even decisive. Like on my DK, I do a Nirnhone decisive. That works pretty good. You kind of have a lot of flexibility with that offhand there. Now, I will say with the status effects, the status effect buffs that we've gotten recently, that a lot of people are just going double charged on their dual wield, and that's doing really well too. So I don't know if Nirnhone main hand
tough to say
is necessarily like a rule anymore or not. But as far as glyphs, I kind of just try to do a variety of things, like whatever damage types I don't have in my build. Like if you don't have a source of shock damage, it's always good to get that minor vulnerability with a shock glyph. I like the disease glyph right now because it does that AoE defile. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of my two. Like if I'm doing dual wield, those are like my two front bar glyphs, and then let's talk about the back bar a little bit. So you basically have, I think, 3 options for the back bar. It's going to be powered, defending, or infused.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Powered if you want stronger heals, defending if you just want to be selfishly tankier, and infused is going to be damage focused, right? It's going to be, you're probably going to have a weapon damage glyph on that back bar. It's going to give you like 452 extra weapon spell damage pre-buffed, and then you swap to your front bar, and heck, that's more weapon and spell damage than a 5-piece bonus gives you. It's really good for that. So yeah, powered, defending, or infused, depending on your build for your back bar. And in your back bar glyph, I think the only time really the back bar glyph even matters is if you're using infused. You want that weapon damage glyph. Otherwise, I don't know. I kind of put glyphs back there based on like theoretical, like, okay, maybe a weakening glyph would be good because it's my defensive bar, so if someone's attacking me, weakening might be good because I'm reducing their damage a little bit, and that's good if I'm trying to stay alive. But really, you're probably not actually proccing that glyph a lot of the time. It doesn't matter a whole lot. That's my take. Anything to add, Davius?
No, I would agree exactly with what you said on all pieces. Those are the strategies I follow, and I learned them from you, and it's worked well.
I got them from Sam. Blame Sam. If anything,
shout out
wrong.
Uncle Sam. I will say that Sam seems to really like, and you might be able to speak on it better than I am, but he really likes the Oblivion damage glyph. I feel like lately he's been a big fan of. I can't remember what it's called, but
yeah, glyph of decrease health, I think is what it's called. Like a Maelstrom Frost Staff on the back bar infused with an Oblivion glyph. He really rants about that all the time. It's apparently a ton of damage. Yeah, not rants, raves. He raves about it, not rants.
He rants and raves.
He rants and raves. Damn it, depending on his mood. Thanks for writing, Jim. Next email comes from Sudica. Shout out to Sudica. Sudica says, Dear Scrollin', what a weekend. Perfect timing to have you back right after Deathmatch Weekend. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. But I'm writing in with a sidetrack. I was visiting my friend Rufus at Glimmering Falls during Deathmatch breaks and saw Ket logging in with not Ket, not Fed, not Led, not Ted, not Heck, but Ged Sparrowhawk. How? Why? Please explain. From your perpetual scrolling enjoyer, Sudica.
You've really caused a lot of confusion here.
Sudica, delightful as ever. So, I'm sure lots of listeners are familiar with the Earthsea Cycle books by Ursula Le Guin. It's a series of fantasy novels that are, really, really good. I highly recommend them. They're like a kind of like quintessential fantasy. I don't know how else to explain it. It's almost like we were all born with this story inside of us, and Ursula Le Guin wrote it in a book. It's like, and you could like read it to your children. It's like family friendly, but the adults enjoy it too. It's so good. And there's several books, but it's generally advised to only read the first 3. It's just like a perfect little trilogy there. You can go on from there, but really the first 3 are the main thing. But anyway, the main character in that book, in that world, nobody shares their real name with strangers because that gives them power over you. So everyone has this secret like code name that they tell everyone. The main character, his name that he tells everyone is Sparrowhawk, but his real name is Ged, and only the people that he trusts and befriends and stuff, he'll let them know his real name, which is Ged. So Ged, Sparrowhawk. In real life, my initials are K-E-T, Ket. So Ket, Sparrowhawk. It's an easy substitute for Ged. That's the name. Easy.
Nice little tie in a bow right there. Perfect.
Yeah. Figure you can answer the question too, Davis. What's up with your name, Davius Starjumper?
Old Davius Starjumper. So I think I've answered this before, but the Davius Starjumper name is way back when Oblivion was not Oblivion. Actually, I'm sorry. I need to go further back. Morrowind, Elder Scrolls Morrowind. When that game first released, it was a PC game, and I went and purchased it, and I loaded it up, was super excited to get it, and I sat there, got to the character screen, and I was sitting here thinking, like, I want to come up with a name, I want to come up with a character name, and so that was the name that I came up with, Davius Starjumper. And I don't know if I've said this part before too, but when I created Starjumper, the idea behind Starjumper, I had just when I just bought that game, I just watched Star Wars earlier in the day. And not for the first time, I'd seen it a whole bunch, but Star Wars was on my mind. And so the name Starjumper I got from Skywalker. And so I went, all right.
I never knew that part of the
see, a little nugget here, but I was thinking, all right, like I like the name Skywalker. I always thought that was a really cool, well thought up name. And so I thought, all right, Sky, what's higher in sky? Star. And I thought, all right, what's above walking and jumping? So that's where I came up with Starjumper.
Yeah, forget this.
This
is the Skywalker guy.
Lazy, I'm Starjumping. And
so how old were you at this time?
Gosh, I had to be, pre-teens.
Okay.
I don't remember what year Oblivion came out, but it was a while ago. So I was probably somewhere in middle school, something like that. Young me, But yeah, and so then I came up with Davius Starjumper as the name, and then played Morrowind, loved it, got really into that game, and then every Elder Scrolls game that has come out since then, Oblivion was when I first came up with the idea where I was like, I'm making the same character. I'm just gonna age him, make him older, and he's carrying over from game to game to game. And so I've done that. I did that with he started a Morrowind, carried him over to Oblivion, made him older, white hair, and then by the time I made him to Skyrim, is when I actually was like, all right, he's even older, make him even older, made him blind, and then so when I carried him over to ESO, I have the little blind rag across his eyes because it was kind of a shout out to the Skyrim version of him where he was just getting older and older and older. And he's carried him over from game to game to game.
He's a time traveler now.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't realize that at the time, but technically ESO's in the past, so he's just bounced all over the Elder Scrolls world and lore. He's
what an adventure this man has been on.
He's been through it all, but
he hasn't really seen most of it.
It's in my head. It's been kind of this fun little like, this guy's done it all. Like he did the whole Morrowind storyline, saved them. He did the whole Oblivion storyline, saved them. Did Skyrim, no big deal. Now he's an Elder Scrolls saving. Like he's been busy. He's got a full life of adventures.
It's true. Got so many stories to tell.
Yep.
There you go, Sudica. That's where our names come from. Next email comes from Chumpy. It's the weekly Chumpy email. Chumpy says, look, guys, I know there ain't no politics speak on the pod. I get it, but there are some things we just can't ignore. I mean, geez, time to stop this nonsense. From long, slick, shiny ones to short, fat, leaning ones, we've seen them. We all have a preference. When you're out and about, which polls are your favorite? Never thought of a poll anyway. Hypothetical thinking question. Do wadzenia chumpol. Okay, always a interesting one, Chumpy.
Polls.
We're talking about polls, people. Chumpy ate some magic mushrooms and walked to the park and ran into a pole and had a brilliant idea for a question to write into a podcast. What kind of polls are your favorite? Starjumper. You go first.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew I was going to be the go-to on the poll question. I knew this one was coming to me first. I just had a feeling. I'm going to go, I'm going to go I'm going to throw a curveball here. I'm going to say the polls, POLL. Like survey polls are
those
my
are the best
favorite
kind.
polls. I love throwing me at a poll, getting some feedback, letting people, voice. Love a good poll, a good poll question.
I like filling out polls.
There you go.
I like giving my opinion on things.
There you go. Perfect.
I thought the only thing I could really think of was like a tetherball poll. I don't know if you Kiwis, the Kiwis from Chumpies from New Zealand. I think I don't know if they have tetherball down there, or maybe they call it something different.
Oh,
but the ball is tethered to a pole with a rope. And it's a game that children play. You hit the ball back and forth, and the first one to wrap it around the pole in their direction, in the right direction, wins. Brings children lots and lots of joy. A beloved game for generations.
Every playground had them.
So tetherball pole. That's my answer. That's all I could think of. I'm sorry.
Tetherball. I also randomly thought of ski poles.
Okay.
Ski poles always helpful.
I will never go skiing again in my life because I almost died the first and last time that I went.
Oh no!
So,
oh no!
Good luck with your ski poles. That's fine.
Oh man!
I didn't literally almost die, but I hurt myself and it was not fun.
Yeah, that's never fun.
Yeah. Thanks for writing, Chumpy. I hope those are satisfactory answers. Last email comes from Jay Catman. Says, howdy, Gooners. Don't ever call us that again.
Just total tone change right there.
Just kidding. Howdy, Gooners. I've recently found your podcast, and I'm loving every episode. Best ESO podcast out there. All right. Thank you so much, dude.
Nice.
Says, I've been playing for years, but I've never gotten deep into PvP. What are some need-to-know tips for PvP? Oh, boy. You asked the question there, buddy.
There it is.
Also, I'd like to join the guild and become a fellow goon. I'm PCNA at J Catman. Suck it, Xbox.
We got one.
We got one.
All right.
That's a PC. That's a PC goon right there. We got one.
We did it. Oh, man. That's good. That's fantastic. That's so good.
Okay. So thanks for writing so much, Jay Catman. So his question is, what are some need-to-know tips for someone just getting into PvP for the first time? You've taken the first step. You're listening to our podcast, and you've joined the community. I mean, you're going to be a monster in no time, dude.
Yeah.
Just the natural passage of time will do its thing, and we're going to have to like kind of sedate you at some point because there's going to be like so many bodies in your path that we're like, dude, you got to calm down. Okay.
That's the goon guarantee.
That's the goon guarantee. I'm going to say, go back to the Scrolling Podcast episode 112 titled Bearoids. It's a really good place to start. We have a segment
Great
there.
name too.
Yeah. Totally normal podcast title name. But we have a segment on that episode called Building a Foundation for Your PvP Build. It's basically the answer to your question is all there. We have a really long, extended discussion about, if you're making your own PvP build, you're making your own decisions, you're not just copying someone else's build. Here are some kind of tried and true things for you to do that's kind of guaranteed to get you in a pretty good spot. I think you should definitely start there. I think when it comes to PvP, content creators, you can learn a lot from content creators, and it's often a very personal, like from person to person, finding the content creator for you. It's very different, and when it comes to PvP in particular, a lot of the best ones that you can learn the most from are often not super well known and super popular, because a lot of it comes down to like particular play style and stuff like that. Like everyone in PvP, everyone's so particular. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses and things that they like to do and that they don't like to do and all that kind of stuff. So when you're on YouTube and searching around for builds and stuff like that, don't just go to the most popular ones. Definitely check those out. Those guys know their stuff, oftentimes, and they have some good advice, but give the little ones a shot. And oftentimes those are where you find the real nuggets. I can tell you the best players that I know aren't content creators at all, so that's what I have to say about that. Davis, anything to add?
No, I mean, just continue what you said. And just being a part of this community, ask questions, hop in Discord, join up with, join duo nights, watching others play. Like that can be really helpful when you're learning things.
Don't be afraid of failure. I mean, that's probably a big one, right? Just get in, just die. It's fine.
It's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Just hop in, have fun, and you hang out with this community, and you'll get better in no time.
Yeah, totally. Some other just kind of general tips, just kind of throw yourself at it a whole bunch. If you listen to that episode 112 and you put together a build that kind of follows those general guidelines, you're kind of guaranteed to be in a decent spot. So just jump in there and start doing stuff and see what happens. Have fun with it. Don't get too down on yourself if you don't get the results you think you need to get, or whatever. Another thing, if you're in it for the long haul, if you're playing the long game, then you really owe it to yourself to make multiple characters of multiple classes and at least get to know them a little bit. Just go through the low BGs, just enough to kind of see what success looks like, get an idea of what the buttons feel, what the combos feel like, because then you're going to be in the head of your enemies, right? You're going to go up against a sorcerer, they're going to put a haunting curse on you. You know that Mage's Wrath is coming next because that's what you would do. That's what you do on your sorcerer, right? So no substitute for that. There's absolutely, if you want to be a rock star PvPer, you can't skip that part. Well, I say that, and then there are players that only play one character and nothing else ever, and
there are rock stars. Yeah,
so
that is true. That can happen.
So one or the other, I guess.
Either or.
Yeah.
You could pick.
Either play them all, or only play one, or don't listen to me at all. Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. Guys, thank you very much for writing in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great emails. Very fun, very nice. A lot of fun answering those questions.
We have a guild. The guild's name is Stoon's Goons. It is literally the best PvP guild in the game, and it also just so happens to be the best named guild on all 3 NA servers. Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. We're on all 3, baby.
We're growing.
The official guild of the Scrollin' Podcast. If you'd like to join, send us an email at scrollinpodcast@gmail.com and we'll send you an invite. By the way, it doesn't have to be a special email. Just ask for an invite. It doesn't have to be like a question for the show. I feel like I need to make that clear. You can just ask for an invite and I'll send you an invite. If your guild list is full or if you're on a different platform, that's okay. Just come join the Discord. That's the real home of the community. Everybody who's on the Discord is a fully fledged goon. You're one of us. Scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, an easy thing you can do is open up the Apple Podcast app and give us a star rating and especially a written review. It helps us out a lot. It makes it easier for people to find our show. If you want to go a step further than that, you can go to patreon.com/scrollinpodcast. Sign up to receive Stoon's Boon for $3 a month. It gives you access to a number of things, including the Booncast, which is a shorter solo ESO podcast that I do on the off weeks. So you get something every week. You can also donate stuff to the Guild Bank. That helps us out a lot. Gold, potions, crafting mats, whatever you want to put in there, we'll take it. And the very best thing anyone can do is just come hang out with us, be a part of the community, be our friend, play ESO with us, be a part of the Discord. Most of the stuff we talk about on the show, we talk about with our friends on Discord first, and then that kind of filters through that. We work out kind of all of our thoughts and ideas with the community, and then we record and kind of all those thoughts sort of culminate here on the recording. So the very best contribution anyone can do is just come be part of it. Grizicon says, dying don't hurt. Oh, did you say that started over?
One of us said it. I don't remember who.
Dying don't. That's a good option for a title. Dying don't hurt.
That's right there.
I got a lot of walking, World of Shields, and Dying Don't Hurt.
Dying Don't Hurt.
Those are the ones I wrote down so far. I might find some other nuggets as I'm editing.
Yeah, nice.
Already did the support thing. Shout out to the chat. Grizzly Khan, the only one that really stuck it out. King Nar was in here for a minute. Uncle Sam, I think Maddie was in here for a minute. Thank you guys for joining us. Another shout out to Uncle Sam, King Nar, Maddie Quinn, 60, Ironworks, Brandon. Been playing a lot, doing a lot of pre-mades. Pre-mades have kind of been going off here lately. Even before Deathmatch Weekend, there's been more pre-made action here lately. We'll be talking more about that in the future, but That group of people right there, we've really been hitting it hard, and it's been a lot of fun. Shout out to the Elder Goons, the OGs. Thank you all for being around for so long. Appreciate you all. Oh, I forgot to paste our Students Boon names in here. I got to go get them real quick. Hang with me. Oopsie. And shout out to our Students Boon recipients. Pork Body, Toadster, Gummy Bear, Grizzly Con, Thomas, Taggart, Mother of Dragons, Sudica, Jim, the same one that sent us the email, I think, Maxwell, Derpin Stuff, Dudagon, Brewerman, Brock, Redhead Monster, Chumpy, John E. Danger, and Odin. It's a growing list. Guys, thank you all so very much. Really appreciate it. Davis, we've been recording for an hour and 57 minutes.
Look at us go. Really what it was is that I was gone, and so I had to make it up. So I tried to sneak a twofer in on this one.
Yeah, we had to get 2 podcasts worth in this one here. So
hey, I do have a final question, because I was about to just say the sentence, I snuck a twofer in there. Are you a snuck or a sneaked person? Which one do you use?
I feel like that's one of those words that I never feel right, no matter how I say it.
You say both, and you feel both are wrong, right? Like I don't know which one's right. I don't know the details. But they're both. I'm going to Google past tense of sneak. They both could be right. Both could be wrong. Something seems off.
As the English language has evolved, the word snuck has joined sneaked as a past tense form verb of sneak. You may prefer. Yeah, they're both right.
Well, that's just.
I feel like if I'm just talking without thinking about what I'm saying, I'll probably be like, "Oh yeah, I snuck in last night."
Yeah, I think that's what I defer to too.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I sneaked in. No, that's not right.
That's something sounds funny about that.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
Glad
I snuck in a twofer. I'm glad we got that cleared out. Good call. Whew. That was close. We barely got that in.
Well, now that we got to the bottom of that one, thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you next time. And the snap. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Nice. I was way early on the finger guns that time. Way early.
Now, did you say boom last week for me? Was there a boom? Did you add it in, or was this no boom?
It was a no boom. You know what's funny though? I can't remember. I may have already told you this, but I started doing another podcast, Fun Club, and my co-host on that one, I've never said anything about the boom, but he just naturally does it. Just exactly the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now it's a trend. That's all we needed for it to become a trend. Now it's a trend.
I started cracking up the first time he does it. I did 3, 2, 1 snap, and he does a boom, and I'm like, oh my god! This is just like built into the human DNA, like the human genome. It just does that, I guess.
This is fantastic. Now, when I see other podcasters, that's gonna be my first question to them. Do you boom though? Like,
you guys boom podcast or no boom podcast?
Who does the boom on your show? You don't.
And they're
boom?
Gonna say I'm calling security.
Yeah. I'm going to turn my nose at him. Oh,
boom and boom.
You guys don't boom, huh? And I'm going to be sure to have the conversation on an airplane. I think that's really going to help.
You're going to be like, kind of looking at me sideways like, these guys are no boomers. We don't.
These guys don't boom at all.
They don't know about the boom. They don't even know about the boom.
Oh, you don't boom? That's cute. That's adorable.
Okay. Call us when you have a real podcast.
Yeah. Let us know when you start booming, okay? That's until then,
it's hard to take you seriously, really.
You got to get the boom down before you even start recording that thing. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, we rehearsed that thing for hours and hours and hours.
It took us so long to get it correct.
Uncle Sam King, our Grizzly Con, of course, was here before any of us, including myself.
Dang, Grizz coming in peak time.
Sam's playing Rune Light. I can see has the icon next to his name in Discord, so we got his full attention. That's good.
We probably do has attention. If in that game, I'm sure he's like peeling a potato or something, just peeling 2,000 potatoes.
That's true. All right. Well, oh wait, hold on. What's happening? Why is my computer making noises? Dude, does do not disturb mean anything to this freaking computer? It's on do not disturb mode, yet I am being disturbed.
Is it us? Is it us disturbing you?
No. It's just you. Just shut up.
just shut your mouth.